Hey fellow real estate investors, do you need a solution to be able to analyze your market at a macro or micro level and compare it against other similar markets? Well, I can show you how to do that within a few easy steps. My name is Ariel Herrera with the AnalyticsAriel channel, where we bridge the gap between real estate and technology. Today we're going to be focusing on using FRED data and building out a FRED data dashboard in only a few steps. If these type of solutions are something that you enjoy to make yourself more data aware and make better decisions, then please subscribe to this channel. As well, like this video if you want to see more like it. All right, let's get started. Right now, I'm on the dashboard that I created in only a few easy steps to monitor my market, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater in Florida, also the market where I reside. Now, it's really useful to be able to understand micro and macro trends within your market to see if there's any warning signs or potentials for opportunity. FRED is a really neat tool and resource because they allow you to see data across a multitude of different sites and public organizations within one view. Now, if you're new to this channel, I highly suggest for you to check out the Datasets page that I've created over the last year and a half of being really deep entrenched into tech and real estate. I've noticed there's a huge gap in understanding what data sets are available for free, paid, quick and easy, need a lot of coding skills. All of those factors are just unknown. It's spread out across the internet. So in my effort to consolidate all that information into one sheet, I've also tried to create as many videos as possible that correlate to each of these. So if you need to use one of these data sources, you know how to do it within only a few steps. Now, the one below here that I'm highlighting is FRED. That's focusing on what we're looking at today, macro and microeconomic stats. And this is the video where we're going to look at how to do that within your market. In the next video is going to be how to pull this data using Python. So let's go over what this dashboard is. If we're new to dashboards, dashboards are quick, easy ways to interpret data in a single view. So we're trying to gauge the health of our market. In the top left corner, I have housing inventory. We could see what the active listing count is in Tampa. So how many houses are available on the market. Now, why is this important? If we see that a lot of houses are on the market, a lot of properties are available, that might indicate to us that there's not a strong sentiment for buyers and it's becoming now a buyer's market because they have a multitude of properties to choose from. But as we know, we just have completed a really crazy Q3 almost, where houses were flying off the shelves within only a few days. So now on this bottom left graph that I have here, I'm actually looking at that same stat, but over a trend of time. We're looking at it between 2016 to 2021 present day. The source is realtor.com. So if we view this on FRED, and we could see the original chart. So this chart is looking at housing inventory. It's interactive. So let's go over to, let's say, more recent, June of 2021. We have three things here. In blue is my market, so Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, which is a metro area. Then in red is for all of Florida. And green is comparing against Orlando. Reason I chose Orlando is because it's also Central Florida and a very similar market. And what we're looking at here in this stat is not housing inventory, just the number. We're looking at percentage change. How I created this graph is going to edit graph, adding those additional lines. So actually looking for housing inventory for Florida, clicking it, then coming back to edit lines. So if we go to line 3 and looking at it at the level. So I had originally set this to percentage change from the first line. So because I clicked level, it was going to automatically do percent change as well. And I'll show you how to do this inside the dashboard too. But let's jump back here and look at the next one. Next one is market hotness. So median days on market. Now this is a really great gauge to understand, is it a seller's or a buyer's market? If we're seeing that houses are staying on the market longer, meaning that maybe they're priced too high, not a lot of buyer demand, it's going to be more of a buyer's market because they have more of a pool to choose from. So in here, I have this chart, which I'm also going to blow up and look on Fred. This chart, I wanted to not just look at median days on market, I really want to get a feel as to what the percentage change was from a year ago, which is on that right side of the y-axis. So we could see I have both this is plotted for Tampa, St. Pete. In blue, we're looking at days on market. So if we were to see back to February, days on market was 38.5. But that was a 36% drop from the prior year. So this is really abnormal type of behavior. Now, if we look going down to June, this is at the time when I was looking to change personal residences and make my primary into a natural rental. It was very difficult to have an offer accepted, put many offers down. And we could see here, days on market, 32 days was the median average. And this is a 54% decline from the prior year. So right off the bat, we can understand this is definitely abnormal. And this was a very strong dip towards that direction. But as we see, it's climbing back up. On the right-hand side, we then have median listing price, which is always good to gauge what that price is. So how did I actually create this chart? If you've seen the prior video, it's a little bit more in depth of how to create the widgets here, but I'll do a quick run through of how to add more context into this chart. So say you create your widget, you have median listing price for your market. You're going to go to Edit and click Edit Widget and Edit with Fred Graph. So now I have housing inventory, median listing price. We see for August 2021, it's 359,900. It's going to be updated every month. We see it's coming from Realtor.com from their housing inventory core metrics, which if we want to dive into what that is, we could see the detail as well as the data dictionary. Now, what I could do, I see that there's been a huge uptick. So when I first arrived into the Tampa area back in July 2020, the median was about 298, and now that's climbed by 360, so 60,000. But is this normal or is it not normal? I have no idea. So let's go to Edit Graph and let's pull in something that we can compare it against as a base. So let's look at housing inventory. We want to still get median listing price. And we want to get it for the whole United States. So housing inventory, median listing price in the US. Going to click this and add this to my data series. And we could see here we have the US median listing price relative to St. Pete one. So we see here that there is a gap. It looks like as the US is going down, Tampa is going up. So it's still relatively a cheaper market in comparison to others within the US. But we could actually dive deeper into this and look at year over year as well. I think that's going to be a little bit more insightful. So I'm going to delete this, remove, and I'm going to go back, edit the graph, add a line, find this again. So I can either type in housing inventory or take it the easy way, copy this field on top, edit, put it in here. It's going to locate it, add data series, and it shows the units. I don't want US dollars because I'm already doing that on this side. So what I want to do is do percentage change from a year ago, just like the prior. But now I'm going to get this really weird chart because everything is pushed on this left side of the y-axis. So what I want to do is go to Format. For that second line, which is line 2, we want the y-axis position to be right. This change, say in July, of the housing inventory median listing price of $350,000 was a 17% uptick from the prior year, which is a lot. And if we go back to maybe normal times, quote unquote, and we look at July 2018, it only increased on that time period by a little less than 2%. So really not that much. We could add one more line and go back to that national US data. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at percentage change from a year ago, and we want this to be pushed to the right side axis, which I think it's doing automatically for us. I know it's getting a little bit busy on this slide, but we could see here, if we go right at this point, maybe let's look at June 2021, actually July, since that's been our focus. Our question here is Tampa really a hot market, as a lot of these blogs say it is? Well, if we look at year-over-year stats, we have seen an increase of the listing price by 17.5% compared to the United States median of 10%. So this is telling us, yes, relative to all markets consolidated for the US, Tampa is one that is increasing with the price at a higher rate. So now say if we want to add this to our chart, we could go to Account Tools and then Add to Dashboard. We could save it as a new graph on top of the current one, which was what I want to do, or actually to my Tampa St. Pete. And I don't want it to always go back to 2016. I just want it to go back 5 years, depending on whatever date it currently is. So I'm going to select this and click Add to Dashboard. Now if we go back to my Tampa dashboard, I click to load changes, and it should show up. Great, so now I can see my chart here. So let's quickly review those last three, but what else is really important for us to understand? Unemployment rate is definitely important for us to understand if it's trending downward or upwards, because if we are investors and we have tenants need to have jobs in order to pay rent, right? And if we see maybe large increases of unemployment, that could signal to us that maybe a large employer is leaving or having cuts. And that could be really detrimental to our strategy. Now we could go over to the right-hand side and also look at average hourly earnings. So it could be critical for us to maybe assess, are people starting to make more in these areas? Could it be that this is where a lot of work from home, white-collar people are going towards? And we could see that chart here on the right-hand side of what those dollars per hours are. And it'd be interesting to see how much that's increasing relative to the rest of the United States. Then we could also look at housing inventory by square foot. And we could see here that for Tampa, it's really increased. Again, I should really try to bring in other stats to see if it's relative. Like, is it, I see a huge jump, but is it like that across all markets in Florida or across the United States? That's something that's really interesting. Great, so I've been able to show you here how to pull some data together from Fred in order to assess the health of your market. There's a lot more you could do with it in this Add Widget section, and make sure that you actually have a Fred account so that you can create these dashboards in your view. Now, if you think it'd be interesting to review economic data on a frequent cadence, please leave that in the comments below. I am not an economist, but I would gladly take on discussing some of these metrics and any changes that are seen. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks.